Welcome to the Painting of the Week podcast, where we look at some of the most significant paintings throughout history. Introducing your hosts, Phil Grabsky and Laura Bentham.
Well, here we are. It's another Painting of the Week. And welcome. I'm Phil.
And I'm Laura.
This week, we are going to talk about L.S. Lowry's Going to the Match, or as Laura thinks it should be called,
Go in the match.
Go in a Match.
Go in the match. It doesn't sound like going to the match.
No, that's not what you'd say.
You wouldn't. You
Particularly
wouldn't.
not
But it is. I think it is the title, in fairness.
So, very good choice, I think, that you've made this week is your idea.
But actually, can I say, it's the person who does the editing of the podcast, it was his mum's idea, Jo.
Was it?
Because she loves Lowry.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well done, Jo.
Mm-hmm.
So, Lawrence Stephen Lowry, L.S. Lowry. A couple of years ago, I had a very nice trip up to Manchester with a very good friend of mine, and we were going to see a football match, funnily enough. But in the afternoon, he suggested we went to the Lowry Museum, and I have to say, it was absolutely fantastic. It's very close to Manchester United Stadium, and where the BBC is now. And so you get on the tram and off you go. Very easy to get to. Lovely, lovely museum. The artwork is just fantastic.
Okay.
And of course, this painting is immediately definable as a Lowry, but there's a lot more to Lowry than this style of painting. But I'm a big fan, and I'm an even bigger fan having been to his museum. So if anyone's in Manchester, I thoroughly.
Are the majority of your paintings there? The paintings there?
There's an awful lot there.
Mm.
It's interesting because he was born in Stretford, which is that side of Manchester, but chose to support Manchester City.
Oh, that's handy for you.
Well, I mean, Manchester City are clearly one of the greatest football teams that have ever been.
I wonder when you were going to bring that up.
All credit to him for
picking them,
for making that choice. I mean,
I can lose and gain audience now.
I'm equitable about this. I mean, I can understand why some might choose United, but certainly if you've got any sense of colour, history, style, then you're going to go for the. I mean, actually, the only real team in Manchester, because I think Stretford doesn't even really count as. I mean, Stretford's Stretford and Manchester's Manchester. Anyway, we won't get into football, except to say that Lowry was a fan of football and sport generally. He was a supporter of Manchester City. For me, these have a little bit of extra resonance because there were a few years when a few of my childhood years were lived in Macclesfield.
Yeah.
Macclesfield is just south of Manchester, and is known more for its production of silk, but still it's one of those kind of central English mill towns. And it is still true to this day. In fact, I'm driving up to Manchester tomorrow, funnily enough. It is still true, broadly speaking, that when you get north of Birmingham, you start to see the grey clouds and the mist and the rain. For various geographic reasons, that part of our country is wetter. It's wet, it's damp, it's misty, it's moist, which is why so many of these mills were there.
Yeah, okay.
And so it became a centre of the production of cotton, and in Macclesfield's case, silk, which was exported all around the world, made an absolute fortune. The mills must have been pretty horrific to live in. Now, of course, these mills are being converted into fancy flats and who knows what.
And they actually are quite nice looking. I love the buildings.
Yeah, they're beautiful buildings.
Yeah, they are. No, they're really cool.
But there is something about that history that is, fascinating, and one must never forget the difficulties and the pain and the discomfort worse than that many of the employees must have felt. But it's still a fascinating time in our history. And Manchester has a very distinct quality to it, I think. It always fascinates me in this country just how varied our cities are. I think there are other countries you can go to where there seems to be less distinction between one main city, one capital, one city and another. But here, Liverpool and Manchester are so different. Stoke and Sheffield are different, et cetera, et cetera. So
Brighton is different.
Different to Worthing, to Portsmouth. So, these are very much of his environment, of Manchester, of this period, which is what, the 1930s.
See, Brighton didn't have an industrial.
No.
It's nothing really.
No.
The only thing we had was the Kaiser Bonda factory, where my auntie Brenda used to work.
Where's that?
Out by in Southwick, opposite the power station. So
what do they make?
They did make slips, stockings, nylons, underwear. My auntie Brenda used to work there. I was actually born opposite a power station, funny enough. So it was called Seaview Estate, but you couldn't see the sea because
the power station
was right in the way.
Right.
That was where I was. So I kind of have a little bit of an idea, because I used to love that power station with the bricks, and now it's not got those anymore, which is a shame. But anyway, so we didn't have any of this at all.
Now, see, a part of me would love still to live within walking distance of a football stadium. It's in the city.
Yeah.
So now in Brighton, of course, our stadium, which was right in the heart of the city, is now on, the foot of the Downs.
Yeah.
So many stadiums. I think there's many that have been destroyed because they were too small or for whatever reason, and now they're on the outskirts. It would be a dream of mine, which will never be realised, that you just get up in the morning and you just walk down a few streets, and there you are going into the football stadium.
I used to live right next door to Millwall.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
But that was when we used to live in New Cross. So you should get a little apartment right next to Man City then.
I don't think there are any apartments next door. The new Man City they've done an amazing job, and it was pretty derelict land that they've transformed. Well, the stadium was transformed before Manchester City got hold of it, but since then they've built a whole training area, and it's amazing what they've done out there.
Yeah, I haven't been to many football matches. Only one. What couple? But in West Brom. Okay. West Bromwich Albion. We were with Jo. She made us a cob, cheese and onion cob.
So you're not allowed to take food into stadiums anymore. Unless you hide.
Oh no, because you have to hide it.
Anyway, so
it's disappointing.
Now, the other thing about this painting, which is so interesting, of course, is that it was sold for, was it £5.6 million? And there's another one which I know the FA, Football Association, bought, slightly different picture, but again of football. I think they bought that for just short of £2 million.
Wow.
Larry would be absolutely staggered.
Yes.
And there was quite a decent film made about Lowry and his relationship with his mother. And, he kind of battled away to be this painter. And now I think we can safely say he's one of the great recent British artists. No question about
it. It's quite sad, isn't it? Because I don't think she ever really
appreciated him. No.
And then he cared for her at the end.
Yeah.
It's funny how that kind of goes. I wonder if, I wonder if they kind of made some peace at the end. Who knows? These paintings are quite comforting, aren't they? They're not, there's like real charm about them. Not like anyone's having a sort of a argument or anything. They're just all pottering along.
I think what's interesting about them, and I think he talks about this somewhere, is that, it's quite possible and plausible to live in this neck of the woods and actually find it all a bit miserable. And maybe a little bit less now, depending on your economic state of affairs. But in the past, 1910, 1920, tough First World War, tough area. And he used to say he detested it, and the smell of the mills and the noise and the so on and so forth. But then he stopped and he looked, and this is what we've talked about in just about every painting of the week, this thing about stopping and looking. And I think the story with him is that he missed a train or something, and he just stopped and looked at all these people. So they're wonderful observations. And in some ways, you have to look quite hard to know whether he's trying to pass comment upon it or he's just trying to capture it. And there's a little bit more of the latter, isn't there?
Yeah.
So he's not necessarily trying to say how miserable it is or the opposite, how wonderful it is. It's just capturing these groups of people, in this case, all kind of getting together and going to the football match. What strikes me about this football match is that, it's absolutely round.
Yeah.
You can see the stadium is completely full. And
I love their outfits.
Yeah.
I've actually got a photo of my granddad. I wish I'd found it now. In a football match, probably at the Albion. And they all wear those coats and a lovely hat.
All their hats.
It's so cute.
There's not a person there, is there?
That hasn't got. And it's just so lovely that they all. I don't know if it's sort of dressed up, but it's not. It's just so. I just love them.
And again, it's one of those things, isn't it, where on the one hand, it's not realistic. I mean, you don't see. I think it's unfair to call them matchstick men and women, but they are depicted in a certain style, which is not realistic. If you saw that out in the street, you'd think something strange was going on. But on the other hand, it is totally realistic.
It is.
And the way he's got them all leaning forwards, they've all got movement, they're all determined, they're all heading in a certain direction. There's so much movement and energy. And you've got dogs, and you've got kids, and you've got older people with their canes, and you've got younger people being dragged along with their dads, whatever.
But there's no shadow at all on any of the people.
That's true.
Otherwise, I suppose...
Mind you, there's no sun in Manchester. I mean...
You won't go with that.
Well, I was there for 6 years, and I'm trying to think of... Well, obviously there were days when it's sunny, but I mean, it does rain a lot.
Of course it will.
It does rain a lot. So I guess maybe this is just one of those... For me, it feels like one of those November days, which is just grey.
If you'd have put loads of shadow in, it would have been messy anyway, wouldn't it? It would have been.
It would have been very messy.
So, yeah.
That's interesting. I hadn't noticed that. There's shadow. I'm just looking. Yeah.
None at all. But he only did. I read somewhere that he only actually used 5 colours, or 5. Some people don't class black and white as a colour, do they?
But in this painting or in any painting?
Well, he said in all of them. He said he used black, white, Prussian blue, vermilion red, and yellow ochre.
Okay.
And that's, I think maybe because he couldn't have afforded much more.
That's interesting.
But I don't know. You've been to the museum.
Well, I can't remember that
No.
detail of it. I mean, there's certainly a unity of style on this type of painting.
And the colours.
And the colours. I mean, they are kind of muted, but again, this is not the south of France. This is northern, not just northern Europe, it's northern Britain. And the light is different, the colours are different, so it is kind of muted.
Yeah.
There's a few bits of colour where people have tried with an orange coat or a blue jacket, but
lady with a tiny red hat at the bottom.
But I remember arriving in Lagos in Nigeria, and the assault of colour. I mean, it couldn't be more different to Manchester. Well, certainly Manchester 80, 90 years ago. And again, it's one of those things that makes a great artist, isn't it? That you can see this. Even if we didn't know this was by Lowry, we would see it and say that's by Lowry.
Yeah.
But who was that guy? Only the other day.
Oh, well, they found all.
He had hundreds of his paintings were found, all gone already.
Eric Tucker.
Eric Tucker.
And it was in the Times on August 1st. The lovely article about him.
2021. I mean, I did read that article, and actually I could have afforded it, I'd have taken any of them.
They were lovely. But people should definitely have a look at those if they can, because
Eric Tucker.
Yeah.
But aren't they calling him like the mini
The
Lowry?
secret Lowry.
The secret Lowry.
Because he's similar. He didn't marry. He lived alone. Well, I'm sure he's got other family. But yeah, and a lot of his paintings are just perfect when you're sitting in the pub having a little pint. I mean, that's kind of what the whole thing is. That's why maybe everyone does look happy. My nan was really happy if she got to the pub and had a little bit, pint and a half of Guinness.
I think the thing about this is that these people have probably worked 6.5 days. So it's 2:00 on a Saturday afternoon. Because all football used to be 3:00 on a Saturday until football took over and it became Friday nights and Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
And who knows what else. 3:00 Saturday afternoon, meet your mates in the pub.
Yeah.
Maybe at 1:00. Walk to the game, watch the game, home by 6 for tea.
Exactly.
Sunday morning was church, Sunday afternoon, maybe go for a walk with the family, whatever.
And have a nice roast, if you're lucky.
If you're lucky. But he loved these kind of, you just can imagine him, can't you? Very clever to do this because he's got to have a sense of what the whole picture is before he starts. You got to. I don't know whether he would plot this out, but where you start on something like this, I guess you start with a sense of where the actual stadium is.
Yeah.
And actually, it's slightly. The scale isn't quite right at that stand, to be honest. But in my opinion, but the people almost look too small.
Yeah.
Almost looks too far away.
And the ones in the distance.
Yeah, that's it's almost like they're a mile away. But still, it doesn't matter.
No.
But he must have had when you look at some of the other ones, there's one where you're looking over some houses, I can't remember the name, but you're looking over some buildings, some houses into a park, and it's absolutely full of hundreds and hundreds of people.
Yes.
And you can see the swings and so on. And then behind that, there's more buildings, a church and the mills, and quite extraordinary paintings.
Was he quite lonely in his life? I mean, he had that thing going with his mother, never feeling like you've achieved anything or appreciated maybe something, and surrounding yourself with people, or observing people and surrounding yourself with them as such. Quite interesting. Ones in his later life though they weren't quite like that, were they? The paintings as he really got older, he kind of got these. That's ones a bit more remote, so didn't have quite so many people. It makes you wonder if he wanted to have more people in his life, hence the fact he painted so many.
The sense of him, isn't it? The sense of him is that he was a bit of a loner. He was kind of responsible for looking after his mother, who was a very difficult character. Lived in the same house.
Yeah.
Didn't really want to be part of the establishment. I think he rejected honours a number of times, Stephen and knighthood.
And yet it looks like when you look at his paintings, he wanted to be surrounded by people. They're fascinating. And a lot of people really love them.
As a photographer, sometimes the great thing about taking pictures as a photographer is that you feel like you are observing a scene whilst not being part of it. And actually sometimes it gives you great courage, or what others might consider to be courage. I mean, I've walked into scenes like in Afghanistan, I've walked into environments confident because I've got this camera in front of me so that I'm detached.
Yeah.
From what, I'm alert to what's happening, but I'm also detached from it. And then you can zoom in on you can get close to people. You can actually zoom in on people. So it's slightly voyeuristic, curious, interested. And I think that's reflected in how Lowry is painting too.
Yeah.
You're right. On the one hand, while he is a loner himself, I think he is fascinated by people. I mean, I think
maybe he wanted to be part of one of those groups. Maybe he was. I mean, he must have had friends. although he doesn't say it a lot, he just says it, especially when he was looking after his mother, that he just painted after 11 o'clock once she'd settled down to bed. I mean, that's tough.
I think also that he resented the fact that his pictures weren't, and this is always the case with artists, it's all about respect. So he wasn't respected by mother, but he also wanted to be respected by the art establishment. I don't think that happened till too late. I think that bothered him too.
I read that once he died, the Royal Academy had an exhibition, and it's still one of the top exhibitions that they had. Remember the song? The Matchstalk?
Oh.
I literally sang it all week. The Matchstalk Men. Oh,
Matchstick Men.
No, they say Matchstalk.
Matchstalk Men.
It's really, I'm not even quite sure why they did that. Maybe they could tell us, Brian and Michael. It was on my brain all week. 1978, Top of the Pops. There they were. They were 19 weeks at number 1 with it.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's about Lowry, is it?
Yeah. You do know it.
I'm trying to encourage you not to sing it. I get it in my head.
You know that I nearly will. But it is funny because it's called Matchstalk. Cats and Dogs, Matchstalk Men. Which, I even looked that up, but I thought, well, maybe it rhymed really well, but I think they could have used Matchstick. But anyway, there's 19 weeks at number 1. No one cares, do they? And obviously, well with it.
I think that I think we have to be careful not to exaggerate the sense of him being a loner.
Okay.
I think he had friends.
Yeah.
I know for sure he loved going to see Man City. And okay, when I go to a football match, there are people around you chattering away, and other people who sit in silence, which I actually find rather strange. But I suspect he was chattering away.
Yeah.
We've got to be careful, haven't we, not to try and pigeonhole the artist without really knowing what he was like.
That's true.
When he made some money, and he wasn't like nobody was buying his paintings, and he became an official artist. Let me do the Queen. I think 53.
Oh, okay.
He becomes an official artist for the Queen. I mean, he's
so yeah.
He wasn't discriminated against for being a Mancunian.
No. Loads of people, loads of great bands from Manchester. So, yeah, perfect for him. Yeah, he did actually get got really friendly with a girl who ended up sort of becoming one of his best friends, and her surname was Lowry, but they weren't related.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, I think her name was. I think it was Carol Ann Lowry, but she just asked him one day. I probably got this wrong, of course. I'm sure everyone will tell us. She wanted to sort of, come and spend some time with him as an artist, and they were really good friends. And I believe he left everything to her when he died.
Right.
But they weren't related, so he did have friends.
They also found when he died, a lot of paintings that took people by surprise. For example, unpopulated landscapes.
There we go.
And so again, we've got to be careful not to pigeonhole him. Oh, actually, this is why it's good to go to the museum, because there's more than just these quote-unquote Matchstick Men paintings. These are obviously the ones that have become very popular, but he was actually quite prolific. And
I think I like his people on this, though. I do. I love the crowds. They are really, I love them. I know it's pretty silly, but I do like the little feet and their shoes. Slightly out of proportion, but I quite like them.
So let's have a look at this picture. Oh, by the way, you also I remember from the Lowry Museum, there's a lot of portraits too, which are quite powerful.
Self-portraits? Or of?
Both, actually.
Yeah, okay. So once again, we need to go to Manchester.
Well, no,
you're going tomorrow.
Well, actually, what we need to do is we need to go onto the 7th-art.com website.
Yes, we do.
And have a look at this picture in more detail.
More detail, because we're really close up now.
Have a closer look.
And then go to Manchester.
Because you feel like you've seen it a million times. Well, let's see what we see for the first time. So they're the old style turnstiles, and there's still plenty of football stadiums which still have that kind of thing. Queuing up, again, nothing much has changed there, except these days they're a bit more restrictive about what you can and can't bring into the stadium.
Can't take your own food.
Not quite sure what the dogs are going to do. Not sure they'd be allowed in.
No.
A lot of older people. These days, a lot of youngsters wearing the team shirt.
Actually, definitely wearing team shirts.
Yeah, no team shirts.
Not at all.
There's one chappie down there who's got a blue top on, which, I don't know, could that be a Man City shirt?
Right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't actually know that this is a Man City game.
I did try to read, but I couldn't find, so I'm sure someone can tell us. In actual fact, I thought there was 3 going match paintings. So, yeah, I have tried to look, but I couldn't find out which match it was about. But it is funny to see, isn't it, that there's no football shirts. So at the time, people wouldn't, look how much they charge for a football shirt now.
Oh, £70,
like you say, you'd be happy just to be going to the match and then to the pub and taking your own sandwiches because it always makes it cheaper. Or cobs. I'll keep saying that for Joe because she makes the best cob.
The cobs and all those sandwiches, is it?
It's a roll. It's just a cheese and onion roll.
Okay.
But when you're eating it at the match, it tastes so different.
Nothing better.
Why is it about things?
I know.
It's so funny.
So there's a few women going.
Yeah.
In fact, it's quite a lot of women when you look closely.
There is.
Almost look like, I'm sure they're not wearing clogs, but they almost look like some of these people are wearing clogs. Probably just kind of big working boots. I love the kind of the whole curve of the body.
Yeah.
You can't look at those people and think that they're static.
No.
They're just on their way, heads down. Probably got a bit of a breeze, hands in pockets.
Yeah.
Fighting their way in and hoping to see some good football.
You could hear the noise of them chattering.
Yeah. For
sure. That's what I'm saying. It feels like a really peaceful scene, even though it's not. In the background.
In the background, you've got this huge. I mean, this city and cities like it was so polluted.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really compare. But when I went to Berlin as a kid in the late 70s, the first thing you notice when you got off the plane was the smell of the coal in the air, and it was there the whole time.
Right.
And that's in the late 70s.
It's funny actually, that group of houses on the right. They're just sort of. There's no street. There's no road. It
doesn't seem entirely realistic, does it?
No.
The main road, which was the Man City Stadium, I mean, buildings are right up alongside, like Everton or Palace or wherever, or like Brighton used to be, houses are right.
Oh yeah, you have a
alongside
couple that overlooks from a position. But that's all. Yeah, it's all gone now. So the only one I don't think I ever went to the Goldstone ground when it was down at near Hove Park, but my dad did, and I've only been to the new ground. I haven't really been there at all, but there was a gig there, so yeah.
And I think he's painting from memory. He used to go out and sketch, so he might have sketched somewhere. He's making things up. I mean, he's just composing the painting as he best sees fit.
And they've all got that with a group of people. There's always that sort of forward directional flow. Yeah. Even in those other ones, they're all heading somewhere, not sort of standing about so much.
I also think, I couldn't quite work out how it's organised, but this is a guy that studied art. He's no fool. So his decision when to put people in colour, I don't think it's random. He's got some reds going through and these kind of the vermilions going through and the blues. Again, he's doing it for a reason because he could have done them all just in black.
Yeah.
He's breaking it up, isn't he? And he's kind of
most of the
punctuating
women are in the yellow ochre. Yeah, for sure. Are. It's lovely. Yeah.
They look more like they're going to church, don't they?
Maybe they're leaving. Maybe they're leaving and going on somewhere else. I doubt it.
It's got a lovely quote, Larry. If people call me a Sunday painter, I'm a Sunday painter who paints every day of the week.
Oh, that is lovely.
I like that.
Mm. Oh, yes, because he didn't collect people's rents. So,
oh, yes.
And he wandered the streets all the time and he loved it.
That's right.
He did it for 40 years, I think. And so he sort of said, well, no one's kind of in a rush to pay the rent, so he kind of just wandered about and turned up when he did. In the meantime, painting and drawing. Perfect.
Well, that reveals something of his character. He's not chasing people down. I mean, he did hundreds of paintings, thousands of drawings. I mean, he was
prolific.
Obviously, completely passionate.
Yeah. So it's a shame he's not here now.
Would you have it in your front room?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
And I know a lot of people that have got Lowry paintings. It's quite nice. Matt's dad's got one actually in his lounge.
Huh.
Yeah, I noticed that. I hadn't noticed it really before. But yeah, so I saw that the other day.
Actually, I think we had a print that my parents had bought in some museum somewhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah, now I think about it.
I've got to go and find them. I haven't got one at all.
I never paid any attention to the artwork on my parents' walls. But it's funny now that, now I think back, they never got rid of any of it, so I've come across it recently, and it's quite interesting to see what they had. A Monet.
Yeah.
They never talked about art really, but there's a Monet. There's definitely a Larry. Yeah. It wasn't this one.
So fun.
Pissarro that I talked about before.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I hadn't paid any attention to my mum. Well, I thought I hadn't until we talked recently. And I always say about Toulouse-Lautrec every time. Because my mum must have loved him. She had loads of his everywhere.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the only other one was Renoir.
Huh.
So, that I can remember. So, yeah. Actually, I wonder when I'll start thinking about what paintings people had on their walls about drinks, like you say, when they were children now. It definitely sort of influences. It has to.
It's a huge decision, isn't it, what you put on your walls? And I know people. I know people who do all sorts of different things. I know a couple who have nothing, who just prefer to have white walls.
Really?
And then I know people who have, they just fill a lot of the space.
Yeah.
Some where it's kind of thematic in some way, some where it seems very random. Some with lots of photographs, some very few family photographs, some that actually say people aren't interested in looking at my family, others that don't take that into account. I mean, it's just a very personal thing. I know one person who basically online just bought a load of impressionist prints as a way of decorating their house.
That's funny, isn't it? When the kids were younger, they used to come in and I used to just stick them straight up, depending on where I was standing.
Oh, really?
I just used to have loads and loads and loads of them stuck everywhere. I had to do that horrible thing of having a bit of salt out, which I hated.
Oh, we've got big scrapbooks. I think the slightly oddest one is that I've got a friend of mine who along the way has collected quite a lot of contemporary art.
Okay.
And I'm sure it's all very valuable.
Right.
But it doesn't all look great.
So
to be stuck on your wall.
Moving on. So why does that person want to be a friend of yours for very long?
Yeah, I don't think they'll be listening to the podcast. I think we're safe.
Oh, you know.
But it's a very personal thing. And
it is.
Yeah.
You should go and find your mum and dad's print now. See if you can. I think they're lovely. I really do. Really charming. They make me want to go and put the kettle on, have a cup of tea. I know I say this quite a lot because I always talk about my nan and granddad and stuff.
I think what it should do is, one, don't entirely believe the feature film and the way it portrays Larry, although it's an interesting film to watch. I think actually, and again, I think paintings in themselves reveal this. I think he was more gregarious and willing to have a chat. Yeah. Yes, he's an observer, but I'm sure that when he went to the football match, he's got his group of friends around him and he'd be chatting about that game. And
also, I think he definitely had bad days, but he must have been, I think he looks quite content. Do you think so?
I don't know.
Oh, we always make everything up anyway, but I don't know.
But the other thing is, 100%. If you have any interest in Lowry, in fact, if you have any interest in art, next time you leave Manchester, go to the Lowry Museum. It is. I was really knocked out by it.
Okay.
And again, it's well worth just seeing that. Not only seeing these kind of paintings up close.
Yeah.
Because actually, when you see them up close, it's the detail and the time, and the observational powers. But actually seeing all the other art you did too. And then get on the tram, nip across town, go to the Etihad.
Yes.
See some classy football.
Well, you can do that. I'll definitely go shopping.
Good day out.
Yeah. Okay. Manchester tomorrow.
All right, we're off.
Thank you for listening to the Painting of the Week podcast. For more information, please visit our website at seventh-art.com or contact us by emailing info@seventh-art.com. See you next time.